All right, in this video, I'm going to walk you through all of the aspects of the revenue acceleration flywheel and the RevOps Maturity Assessment, which helps you to benchmark your own organization against your peers and against best practice. So for those of you that haven't seen the flywheel before, I'll just orientate yourself around it. It covers all of the external and internal activities that your revenue machine needs to iterate and excel on in order to drive predictable and repeatable and consistent growth in revenues. It's split into two halves. So the top half is mainly focused on the external aspects of your revenue machine. So we're thinking about the experience that your prospects, your customers, and your partners have as they travel through their own buying experience with you. We'll look at how they initially find out about your company through the dark funnel, the communities and networks that they're members of that you might not be. We'll look at how they initially find out about your content through your website and your social feeds, and onwards through their entire buying and contracting experience with you and the delivery of your product or service through ultimately to a successful renewal and hopefully not churn. The bottom half of the flywheel looks at the more internal aspects and capabilities of your revenue machine that enable you to deliver that external experience. So we're thinking across marketing, sales, and customer success as we look at your revenue strategy, how you structure your GTM team, the systems and processes that you use to support your sellers and buyers, and then looking at some of the more data and reporting specific topics that enable you to run your business successfully. So there are 22 capabilities, 11 external and 11 internal, and the assessment that we're going to walk through is going to look at all 22 of these, and you're going to rate yourself against them. So let's take a look at the maturity assessment, which you can get on the RevOpsCharlie.com website. Just at the top banner, you'll see under the Learn section, you'll be able to access that. And to start off, you don't require a login. You're just going to put in your name and your email address, and the email address is where your results will be sent to afterwards. So let's dive in. I'm going to walk you through all of the 66 questions or statements in this and provide you with some explanation and some thinking through the different levels of maturity that you'll have for each of these. So these first three questions relate to the dark funnel. The dark funnel is a term that was, I think, created by a company called Sixth Sense to define the places where your buyers are networking, engaging with peers, learning about problems that their company is facing and solutions that don't have direct attribution back to yourself. So think of private Slack communities, think of third-party events that they're attending, think of the SMS message that they're sending to one of their friends at a different company. So each of the statements, we will read the statement and then we can take a look at whether we agree with it, that absolutely we're doing these things, whether we're partially doing those things or not at all. So we're aware of the private communities that our target personas use to engage with and to learn from their peers. So either you are aware of those, which is great, and that's quite advanced, or you're not at all, and in many cases companies are not aware of those. The second in the dark funnel is that we're actively providing content and responses into our listings on product review platforms. So we're thinking here about things like G2, which is probably the premier product review platform, certainly for SaaS, Trust Radius, or Gartner Peer Insights, which is more customer-led reviews. I'm just going to score all of these partially because I'm explaining the tool rather than actually scoring myself. And then the third one for the dark funnel is that we enable our customers and our partners to spread the word about our products. So the key thing about the dark funnel is not that you're in there talking about your products and services. In fact, that completely turns buyers off. What you really want is third parties, your customers, your partners talking about you in those networks. So here we're thinking about encouraging reviews. Do you actively encourage your customers to review you on third-party platforms? Do you have a method for encouraging them? Do you record videos with your customers that your customers will then share on into their own networks? Do you contribute to their own blogs, their own podcasts, and things that those customers or partners will then share on in their own networks? So those are the three items in the dark funnel. And let me just walk you through the kind of three levels of maturity there. So as a beginner in this segment, you're not really aware of the private communities or the networks that your buyers are in. You haven't really done any research on that. There's no discussion in those networks about your company unless you're involved. No one's talking on your behalf. And you've probably not got any direct partnerships with a G2 or a Trust Radius. And that's really the beginner mode. As you move into the builder phase, you're starting to become a bit more aware of where those personas are hanging out. You are starting to engage with your customers and provide them with motivation to talk about you. And you've probably claimed the pages that your company has on a G2 or a Gartner peer index, peer insights. At the truly advanced level, this is where you really have got the dark funnel down to a T, and your customers are actively involved in discussing your company in their private communities. If someone asks a question in there, they're mentioning your company name. You've optimized your pages on product review platforms. You've got videos, you've got screenshots, you've got responses to discussions. Your customers are putting in reviews there, and that you are actively enabling your customers and partners to spread the word about your products and services. You're facilitating that so that other people are talking about your company in those networks. Now let's move on to the next stage, which is owned content. So as your buyers start to uncover your website, your social networks, your first-party content, what is it that they're finding there? So our buyers see our social feeds as a place that they can learning about the problem, learning about the industry, learning about their competitors, or are your social feeds just a place where you talk about your latest product release and the event that you're going to? Secondly, we educate our buyers on the problem that we solve and not just on our solution to the problem. Which is a easy trap for people to fall into. Are we helping our buyers to understand the challenges that they're facing? Sorry, I'll score that. And then thirdly, we provide our buyers with diagnostics, calculators, benchmarking tools to assess the scale of the problem. So instead of just telling them that it's a valuable, expensive problem, actually we're helping them to calculate the value of that problem for themselves. So that's about owned content. At a beginner level, our web and social presence is really about talking about us. We're amazing. This is our company. These are our founders. And these are the products that we've created. Us, us, us. And as you move into the builder phase, you're starting to create some content about the problem that your company solves for your customers. Some of that content may be broken down by individual persona. Some of it may include the events that you're attending where customers can learn. And then at the advanced level, it's really where your website and your social presence is becoming a valued source of learning for your ideal customer profiles and the target personas that sit within that. They're learning not just about your solution, but about the wider opportunities and challenges that they are facing and similar customers are facing in their industry. You are providing them not just with content, but with diagnostic tools, with benchmarks, with calculators, with assessments, just like this assessment here, to assess the scale of your problem. This is really where you're fairly advanced in terms of the owned content that you're sharing. Next up, we'll look at the buying experience. So once a customer has now put their hand up and said, right, I would benefit from some help from you, what's that experience like? Our customers' buying experience is consistent in tone of voice and the design as they move from marketing through to sales and to customer success. In some companies, it can almost feel like you're dealing with a different company as you move from the glitz and glamour of the marketing content through to some very sales focused contracting documents, and then into some completely different project planning and roles and responsibilities that you get provided by customer success. So, from your buyer's perspective, is it consistent as you move through the journey? The buying experience supports our customers' needs rather than our need to qualify them. So think about this. A customer wants to get access to pricing or wants to see what the product looks like. Do you force them into a qualification call with a junior SDR when they just want access to the pricing or to see the product? Or do you give them what they need at their specific stage of their buying process? So is your process built around the buyer's needs or your own? And then thirdly, I just touched on this, can the buyer learn about your pricing and the product without filling in a form? This is a immediate source of friction for so many buyers who just want to educate themselves without getting on a call with someone to qualify them through BANT or MEDPIC. So when we think about the buying experience at the beginner level, you're coming out of founder-led sales, you've just found product market fit, and the sales process is probably fairly ad hoc. You haven't got a defined playbook. The sales team are running each opportunity fairly individually. The founder might still be involved in a lot of those larger deals as well. As you start to become more of a builder, then the sales process is starting to get defined, but you still got these changes in the tone and the content and the brand as you pass from one team to another. Some of those handovers are quite clunky, they take time. The buyers can't immediately get an answer to their question that they need for their stage of the process without being assigned to an SDR and qualified. And then thirdly, you move up to that advanced level, and that's where this sales process is seamless. It's really built around the buyer's experience, and it's consistent as they move from your website through to your marketers, your SDRs, and onwards into your sellers and onboarding teams. Buyers are able to learn about everything they want, whether it's pricing, whether it's the different license types, whether it's what the product looks like, without waiting for those qualification calls. Now we'll move on to the next section, which is channels. So here we're thinking about the different ways that a customer can buy from your organization. SaaS over the last 5 or 10 years has very much gone direct to customers. You buy through the website or you speak to one of our sellers and they'll sell it to you. But this isn't the way that it always was. Pre 2000, very much most tech was bought through resellers, through distribution, through consulting partners who had the ear of the customer and would be that trusted third party, that trusted advisor. And that is coming back with so many SaaS companies out there to solve any specific problem. Buyers are relying on the people that they already work with to provide recommendations. Who should we be using for our marketing automation platform? What do you recommend for call recording? So we definitely should be thinking about building out partner programs. So the statement here, we have a published list of referral, reseller, and consulting partners on our website. Yes or no. We pass opportunities to our partners to help them to grow their business. We don't just look at them as a lead source for us, but we're actually passing the right opportunities to them. And we enable our partners on the problem that we solve for our customers and the size of the market opportunity for them. We want to get them excited about working with us rather than just expecting them to wake up every morning and pass us business. So at a beginner level for channels, you probably only got one channel for your customers, and that is through yourselves, either through your website or through your sales team. As you start to develop this capability, you'll have some loose partnerships. You might have some consulting partners, you might have some technology partners. They may, at best, have you listed as a partner on their website, but they're not actively promoting your company, and you're really waiting for leads to come from them, and very few arrive. Once you've achieved the advanced level here, then you've got this range of referral, reseller, and consulting partners that are creating bespoke content for their customers about your combined offering. What is it that they bring to the table about integration, about migration, about combined capabilities or services that make 1 + 1 = 3? And not only are you waiting for leads to come from them, but you're taking opportunities to your partners. If you have someone that comes to your website that's in a specific vertical or country, you go to that partner and say, look, I've got something where the combination of us working together could really help here. And you enable those partners on the scale of the problem and the market opportunity in front of them. Next up, we look at the contracting process for those customers as they start to work with you. Now, some of you watching this may be in a pure PLG motion, and customers just sign up to online terms and conditions, and so contracting is not as applicable. So we have that option here. But for most SaaS companies that are selling into anything above SMB, there are going to be some contracts that are going to get negotiated. So we ask the questions, where required, do you have an integrated e-signature into your CRM system for customer contracts? So we're not asking sellers to manually create these contracts each time. Where required, you're negotiating those terms via a contract lifecycle management platform. So we're thinking here about automated terms and fallback clauses. We're not having lots of Word documents flying around with different versions, final 5.0, where red lines are being negotiated. And then thirdly, if we've negotiated some custom terms or obligations, these are being recorded back in our CRM and our CSM platforms so that the people that are managing our customers are aware of the specifics that have been negotiated for these customers. So in contracting, when we think about the basic level, the beginner level, there's a lot of manual work going on. We've got Word documents flying around. Enterprise contracts are being negotiated on email through red lines. There's no branded templates for e-signatures, and the contracting process does not add to the brand experience for our customers. Once we start building, those contract documents might be initiated via the CRM, and they might be sent via a branded e-signature template, but negotiations are still happening on email or via Word documents, and none of that custom agreement is being stored back in the CRM platform. And at the advanced level, we've now fixed a lot of that. All contract documents are being issued out of CRM. They're being negotiated through your CLM platform. Everything's being signed using branded e-signature templates, and anything custom that's being agreed is being stored back in the CRM and your other systems. So it's a very automated system, and it's very built around the customer's experience. Now let's start to think post-signature about the onboarding process for your customers. So our three statements here are: we introduce our CSM team during the final stages of opportunity negotiation. So we don't wait for a deal to get signed and then we start introducing our CSM team, and suddenly we've got to do this handover to onboarding and support and the customer success team. We're getting them involved as soon as we know we're in the final stages of negotiation. We record all of our sales calls and share summaries or analysis with CSMs as part of their handover. It is so important that every call or meeting that happens with those customers is recorded, and we're able to pull out the customer's needs and requirements and to share that with the CSMs. If we ask our sellers to summarize what the customer wants and needs from 15 different calls, you'll get a couple of bullet points at most, and you'll have some recency bias where you'll hear about what happened in the last call, but not necessarily the preceding ones. Digital collaboration rooms are used to align customers, sales, and onboarding teams with those pre-sales discussions. Now, these may be called digital sales rooms. I don't like that term because customers don't want to know they're in a digital sales room, but a digital collaboration room tends to be a microsite, a micro portal where sellers and maybe their customers are able to share documentation, video recordings, architectural diagrams, project plans that have all been used in bringing the customer and your sellers to an agreement. And providing access to this to your CSM teams and your onboarding teams is key to ensuring a smooth handover. So that is those three there around the onboarding process. And at a beginner level, a lot of this is very manual. So closed deals are handed over to the onboarding team manually. It's up to the seller to document what was agreed during pre-sales, and a lot of forwarding of customer emails and links in long, difficult to follow exchanges for the onboarding team, who find it very difficult, and for the customer it feels a lot like going back to the start and explaining what they're trying to achieve. At the builder level, we move on a bit, and there may be a handover template. So it might be a Google Doc template, a Word template, where the sales team are asked to fill in and ensure the right information is handed over to the onboarding team. This can be quite fragmented as the sales team have moved on to selling to new opportunities now. The sales team is asked to schedule a handover meeting that includes the seller, the solution consultant, and some of those pre-sales calls, but it's still fairly manual. At the advanced level, the onboarding team is included in the final stages of the sales process to smooth that handover process. Call recordings throughout the pre-sales process have been automatically analyzed and shared with the onboarding team, and these digital collaboration rooms are capturing the decks, diagrams, and videos from the sales process, making it quite seamless. Now we move from onboarding into adoption. And here we ask ourselves three questions. Our CSMs are building a customer success plan that is designed around the customer's success and not only ours. Now, this is an important one. There are many customer success plans that are designed purely around trying to sell more licenses to the customer. And if you ask the customer, does this resonate with you? Is this your success? Then they have a wry smile that the CSM is really a salesperson in disguise. The second one linked to that is that our CSMs truly understand the value that the customer is seeking to achieve from our product? Is it tactical? Is it strategic? How does this really help the customer to get true value? And then thirdly, we regularly connect our customers to other customers that are at similar stages of adoption. And that can be either in person or online events. Customers love to learn from other customers that are going through the same process as the stage as they are. And that can be a key metric of that. So when we think about adoption at a beginner level, after the initial onboarding, getting them turned on to the product, it's pretty much up to the customer to drive a lot of their own adoption across their team. The CSM may be quite reactive, providing a quarterly check-in call, really trying to find out whether they want to buy some more licenses, but it's not really proactive and customer focused. At the builder level, your CSMs are starting to work with customers to define a success plan, although it's still primarily about your success and not so much the customers. And once you achieve the advanced level, that is where your CSMs are truly working with your wider product and customer marketing teams to deliver a range of enablement and adoption events, so physical and online events, but materials and communities with other customers to help your customers to achieve value from the product. It really is about helping them to achieve true value as they scale across their organization. Now we move into testimonials, and our 3 questions around testimonials are that we systematically ask for testimonials at every step of the customer journey. So we're thinking about during the sales cycle, we're thinking about at the signature process, and also during onboarding and then on beyond. Too often we wait until a customer's been with us 6 months or a year to get a formal case study, but by then the customer has forgotten most of the valuable insight that an actual buyer really wants, which is, how did you go through your buying process? Who did you include in your shortlist? How did you determine between your shortlist vendors? How did you structure your buying committee? How did you define your initial your criteria? These are all important questions, and they're not just about your champion, which might be your main admin or main user of the product. Buyers early on in the process want to learn from the lawyer. Like, what were the terms that were most contentious to agree with? Your buyer's infosec team want to understand about the hosting and how your other customer handled some of the cloud security questions. And these are things that you can only really grab by speaking to different personas during or just after the sales cycle. We have a named owner for our customer testimonial program. And this is an easy one that people often miss. Testimonials don't sit anywhere. Is it with marketing to get case studies? Is it with the AE who sold to the customer? Is it with the CSM once their customer is happy to ask for testimonials? You need to have someone that sits over the top of all of that. Our testimonials provide lessons learned advice to a range of personas earlier in their buying journey, including project plans, decision criteria, team structures. Most case studies follow the same format: challenge, solution, results. This was our challenge, this was the product solution we implemented, and these are some metrics that we've seen. These case studies have gone through 2 sets of PR teams to remove them of anything of value for a buyer earlier in their journey. And so they just get disregarded by buyers. Okay, you've got some logos, brilliant. I can see someone was prepared to put their name to it, but I don't learn anything from it. So this is a good sense check of whether you're creating testimonials that are really of value to buyers. So when we think about testimonials in terms of the maturity, at the beginner level, we don't ask our customers for testimonials. Occasionally, we'll ask for a case study that takes 3 months to generate through our PR team, but it's not really very useful. At the builder level, you're asking your sellers to request testimonials, and these do go into a case study queue. The testimonials tend to come from your champion only, not other parts of the buying committee, and they follow that standard challenge solution results format. They don't include any lessons learned for your buyers. At the advanced level, you are systematically asking for testimonials at every step of the buying process, pre-sales, after contracting, after onboarding, and as new teams come on board in existing customers. And you're requesting those testimonials from a wide range of personas in the buying group. And you're not asking them for a case study, you're asking them for lessons learned and advice to buyers earlier in the process. If you could speak to yourself 6 months ago, what would you want to say? And you're getting this on video, audio, and written testimonials so that people can get this valuable content in a format that they really appreciate. Referrals is the next section. We systematically ask for referrals at every step of the customer journey. Many companies are very weak at asking for referrals when we know that a referral is the best source of a qualified opportunity. Referrals convert at a very high rate, but we're often very bad at asking for them. We know who we want a referral into before we ask for it. So we've done our research around this specific contact, and we know who they're connected to, or at least the companies that we want the referral into. John, I see that you're connected to Hannah at Acme. Would you be okay to introduce me? I believe that they're suffering some of the same challenges that we've helped you with, versus just asking, do you know anyone that you could refer us into? We've got a referral program to reward our customers and a method of requesting and capturing those referrals. So we actually have a system and an owner for this so that we can reward with a bit of swag, or at least a thank you for following up on those referrals. And maybe I've missed one there. Yeah, we systematically ask for referrals. Yeah, we know who we want the referral into, and we have the referral program. Yeah. So when we're thinking about referrals in the maturity, at the beginner level, we just don't ask people for referrals. We don't have it as part of our program. We know we want referrals, but we don't ask. At the builder level, we're asking our sellers to ask customers for referrals, but at best it's ad hoc because the likelihood of a referred company being in that AE's territory is so small that most sellers just don't ask for them. And then at the advanced level, this really has to become a systematic part of our process. We're asking for referrals throughout the customer's journey with us automatically. We know who we want a referral into rather than a blank request. And we've got a program that enables us to reward customers with freebies or with some swag for those referrals. And we've got a method, a tool for requesting and capturing them. So now we move into the upsell and cross-sell part of the external process. We've got an account management team that is focused on upsell and cross-sell into existing customers. We're no longer just relying on our initial sellers who may be more hunters than farmers. We're not relying on our CSM team who should be focused on our customer success, but we've got a dedicated account management team that is focusing on that. Our CSMs are compensated on net revenue retention in their accounts. This should be an easy one. Most CSMs are compensated on net revenue retention. Net revenue retention describes that for a set of accounts, if they spend 100,000 with us last year, what do they spend with us this year? So it doesn't account for new customers or customers leaving us. For that same set of customers, are they spending more with us? And we want that to be more than 100%, which shows the growth of those accounts. And finally, we connect our existing customers to other customers that are expanding their product usage in in-person or online events. So if we've got customers that have just bought one product from us, are we inviting them to network and come to events with other customers that have specifically upsold into other teams or have cross-sold into other products, so they get exposed to people that are further along in their journey? So in terms of maturity, when we're thinking about upsell and cross-sell, at the beginner level, it's really dependent on the initial AE that sold that first deal about whether they're going to sell them some more products. We don't have a process in place for marketing upsells and cross-sells into our customers. It's very ad hoc. At the builder level, we're now compensating our sellers differently for upsell and cross-sell, maybe some spiffs to encourage them to sell other products. Our customer marketing team is targeting new divisions in existing customers in collaboration with the sales team to try and drive that upsell or cross-sell. And at the advanced level, we've now got an account management team that is focused on the upsell and cross-sell into existing customers alongside that new business AE. Our CSMs are compensated on growing those accounts with net revenue retention metrics, and our existing customers are being proactively connected with other customers that are further along in their product usage with additional products. Now, our final section in the external half of the revenue acceleration flywheel is about renewal and churn. And our three statements here are: we're in regular discussion with our customers throughout the term of their agreement. That's to say, we're not waiting until 30 days before their contract expires to say, oh, we need to renew you either at the same terms or more. So we're constantly having discussions with them. And because of that, we are resizing and recontracting our customers with at least 90 days or more remaining on their contract. We're not bumping up against that end of their contract term. And if, worst case, customers are leaving us because we're not the right product or they've outgrown us, we ensure that they have an amazing experience as they leave us. We've got a strategic and well thought through offboarding experience to remove them from the product and remove their data, so they leave us with a smile on their face. So those three levels of maturity. At the beginner level, we're reactive. We're contacting our customers at 30 days out and sharing a renewal contract. You're nearly at the end of their contract. Here is a replacement. We bumped up our prices by 7 or 8%. You just need to sign it. Not a great experience. At the builder level, you're starting to discuss the customer's plans for the following year, maybe 3 months or 6 months out. But these discussions are mainly about our contract rather than the customer's objectives. Because of this, contract renewals often miss the end of the current term. So you're having to put in immediate extensions so that you can get the thing signed because you've run out of runway. At the advanced level, you're now, through your CSM, the account manager, the AE, in constant discussion with your customer about their corporate strategy over the next year. And that enables you to do any of this resizing more than a quarter in advance, and you're not bumping up against the end of those contract terms. And if the customer has outgrown you, then you make sure that they have just an amazing concierge experience as they leave the platform, and they're telling others in those third-party networks or on G2 that even though you outgrew the platform, you were treated like an amazing customer. So that takes us the whole way around the top half of the revenue acceleration flywheel. And you'll notice that that is all external. It's about your prospects, customers, and partners' experience with you, and has very little to do with your internal systems and processes and data, which is often what RevOps gets gets mixed in with. We're now going to look at those, but it's important that when you're planning out your strategy, you think from the customer's perspective first and not your own. So now let's start to look through the bottom half and the 11 capabilities that are in the internal aspect of your assessment. So first off, we're going to look at strategy. We're really thinking about our revenue strategy here, but often this is synonymous, conflated with your overall company strategy. We have an internally published vision that clearly describes what our company looks like in 3 years' time. So if I'm an employee, or I've just joined the company, or even I'm a candidate, having read this 3 or 4 page document, I can close my eyes and I can see what this company looks like in terms of our offices, in terms of the customers that we sell to, in terms of the products that we sell to, in terms of the countries that we are working in. So we're not thinking here about a pithy one line, we're here to change the world, but accurately describe in a clear vision what this company looks like in 3 years' time. Secondly, we've got an internally published strategic pillars and defined either annual, maybe even quarterly objectives that define how our revenue team is going to achieve that vision. So you may follow an OKR framework, you may follow a V2 MOM framework, whatever the way that your company describes your strategic pillars and the way that you're going to achieve those pillars is clearly published and specifically for your revenue team. And then thirdly, and this is perhaps even the most important one, everyone in your revenue team can describe what the priority objectives for this year are. What are the 3, maximum 4 or 5 things that if we achieve this, we will be well on the way towards our vision? Now, the reason why this is important is that many companies, especially in their revenue team, get overexcited with objectives. Here are the 35 objectives that we've got this year about pipeline, about NPS, about this and about that. If you then go and ask an SDR or an AE or a CSM, what are the 3 things that we absolutely have to do this year? They can't tell you. They can't see the wood for the trees because there's too much. So this is a great one to score yourself on. So in terms of that strategic maturity, at a beginner level, we've just come out of product market fit. We're still in experimentation. We're still in experimentation mode, and we at best look a few months out, but we don't have a clear strategy for growing our go-to-market engine. At the builder level, you've now got maybe a vision statement. We are going to change the world. And you've got some corporate objectives for the year, but the strategy is still quite disjointed and different teams are pulling in different direction. The vision and objectives seem to change quite regularly, and your team could not describe to you what is important to focus on right now. At the advanced level, you've now got this clear vision or this vivid vision that describes exactly what the company will look like in 3 years' time. You've defined the strategic pillars and clear company-wide objectives that are published digitally and printed for everyone in the team, whether they work in an office or they work at home. And everyone in your revenue team can describe the priority objectives for this year. Find them in a corridor. What are the top 3 things that we have to do this year? They can tell you. Now we start to look at org structure. Specifically thinking about your go-to-market or your revenue team's org structure. Our revenue team is well defined with a consistent org structure across marketing, sales, and customer success. It's been architected with thought and with consideration, and that we've got the right tiers in terms of VPs, in terms of director level and managers, and it is consistent across the team. especially as you're moving from maybe Series E up to Series B. Series A to Series B, you're going to find that you're going to be moving from having sales managers or marketing managers straight up to directors and VP level, and having this consistent across the team is going to be important. Our revenue teams unite under a single revenue leader, or at least a trio of very closely aligned functional leaders. So at a Series A or even Series B, you really shouldn't have a chief revenue officer. This is a high level senior executive for pre-IPO companies. So at a Series A, Series B, you are probably going to have the CEO who is going to be that revenue leader, the ultimate person who owns revenue across marketing, sales, and customer success. But if not that, then having a VP of marketing, maybe a CMO, a SVP or VP of sales, and a VP of customer success, having these three people in each other's pockets, almost that each one could do the other one's job or lead each other's team meetings, is going to be key. We do not want silos where these different functions are heading in different directions. Our revenue operations team is led by a VP level leader who is a peer to that senior revenue executive, whether it is a CEO, CRO, or an SVP of sales, whoever that might be. We do not want a RevOps team that is buried in some basement generating spreadsheets and is seen as a tactical team. The revenue operations function is as strategic as product development, product leadership, and needs to be positioned in that way as a peer to the senior executives and presenting at board meetings and senior exec meetings. So when we think about org structure in terms of the maturity, at a beginner level, we're a small team, we're very flat, we're almost like family. Our go-to-market teams are led by director level player managers. We might have one sales team and the founders are involved in most of the sales processes. At best, we might have one person in a RevOps related role, or they might be called marketing ops or sales ops at this point. At the builder level, our revenue team is growing now, and we've got VPs managing each of those teams of managers across marketing, sales, and customer success. The teams are structured by their role. You've probably now got SDR teams, account managers, CSMs, and you've got 2 to 3 people in this young RevOps related roles. At the advanced level, now our revenue team is well defined. We've got this consistent structure across marketing, sales, and customer success. The teams unite under a single revenue leader, or this trio of very closely aligned functional leaders. And the RevOps team is led by this executive level VP of RevOps, who is a peer to the senior revenue leader, and also includes a strategy team in there. It's a strategic role. Now we're moving on to the systems, and specifically your revenue systems that you're going to use. You might call it your revenue tech stack. We've got a defined tech stack that supports the entire workflow from marketing to sales, onboarding, and into customer success. We've not got shadow IT where a new manager comes in and says, I bought this app and I bought that app, and suddenly we see the tech bloat get created across the revenue team. And because we've got this defined tech stack, our revenue tech stack is integrated with no duplication of functionality across the products and a single pane of glass for our sellers to work in. And what we mean by this is that as a seller, I come in the morning and I open up CRM. It's normally that window, and all the functionality I need is integrated into CRM. I have not got 10 tabs here where I'm having to go over to sales enablement to find some content. I'm now going over to the call recording to go and analyze my call recordings. I'm now going over to the sales engagement software to send emails to people and then go to CRM to update my record. They should be integrated in one. And by having no duplication, I don't want 5 different apps that do call recording for me and each seller is figuring out which one they need to use. We use a software procurement platform to track adoption and remove wasted licenses and optimize spend on technology. You might call this a SaaS management platform. You might call it a software cost optimization platform or a SaaS purchasing platform. These tools plug in automatically to all of your SaaS products. They will look at how they're being used and they will look at where you've got wasted cost. And when it comes up to your renewals, which they will track, they will go into bat for you, negotiating the best rates for that particular software. You might have a call recording platform and you may think that you've negotiated a great rate, but do you know that? How many other deals have you negotiated with that customer? With that vendor? Probably none, maybe at a previous role. So having a platform that does that for you can strip out cost and make for a much more optimal experience for your sellers. So when we think about systems at the beginner level, we've got a handful of systems. They've mainly been picked by individual functions. Someone used this at a previous company. This solves our immediate need, but they're not integrated. You may have single sign-on enabled, but most of those systems have been designed for small businesses, and they're certainly not integrated into a single system. At the builder level, you've now got CRM at the core of your revenue systems, but you've got an increasing number of supporting tools across marketing, sales, and customer success. Every time you hire a new leader, they probably bring 1 or 2 systems with them. And because of that, teams are confused about which system to use and when. And as a result of that, adoption in many of these systems is low. A lack of proper integration means that the customer's experience is poor and they're moved from one system to another as they travel through their own buyer experience. At the advanced level, you've now got an agreed tech stack that supports the seller workflow from marketing through to sales and on to customer success. It's integrated and there's no duplication in functionality across those applications. CRM sits at the center of it for your salespeople, providing them with this single pane of glass, this single place to work during the day. And you're using a software purchasing or procurement platform to track adoption and to remove any tech bloat as it appears. Now we move on to looking at enablement, and you might call this sales enablement or revenue enablement. We use an enablement platform integrated with CRM to guide our sellers in the flow of their work. So as I create an opportunity, as I update an opportunity to send a proposal, enablement is surfacing up the right content and information at the right time. Our enablement platform contains sales plays, training, and sales content. So we're not just thinking here about a training platform or e-learning. We're not just thinking about a repository to find PDFs or decks, but these sales plays that are actually telling us what we need to know, what we need to share with our customers, and what we need to do to get educated around these individual personas and skills is going to be important. And we record all of our sales calls, and managers are using these for coaching and onboarding new starters. Call recording should just be culturally acceptable. Every call gets recorded, and it's not about listening in and micromanaging sellers. It's about helping everyone to understand what customers are asking and how they're reacting to various messages and talk tracks. So when we think about enablement at a beginner level, our sellers are just learning through word of mouth from the founders or from their colleagues. There's no documented playbook, there's no training. Any sales content there is stored on laptops or a shared drive. And as we move into the builder phase, we've now started to document a playbook. It's probably in presentation format or a PDF. It includes some suggested talk tracks and questions to ask for specific customer segments. We might have some product training courses held in the e-learning tool for our new starters as part of our onboarding, but it's not linked to the specific stage of a sales opportunity. And at the advanced level, we now have an enablement platform to guide our sellers in the flow of their work as they're managing their opportunities. It's integrated with CRM. We're providing sellers with access to these dynamic sales plays, to training and content, depending on the individual opportunity that they're working on at that time. We're recording every customer sales call so that they can be reviewed en masse and used for coaching and for new starter onboarding. Now we move on to our internal processes. So our statements here are that we've got a documented end-to-end revenue process that covers all business types, including new and existing customers. Now, this could be documented in writing. It could be in a swim lane type diagram using Lucid or Miro, but it goes from marketing to sales, onboarding, customer success. It is not just this is our marketing process and here is our sales process. We want to see how a buyer flows through the process end to end. Our revenue processes are documented in a consistent format and they're published openly for review by any team. These processes are not things that were just created once at the start of the year and then got put into a SharePoint folder and never seen again. They are there visible for anyone to view and to understand what happens. If I'm in sales, I want to know what happens in marketing. If I'm in customer success, I want to know what happens in sales, and so on. And because of that, we constantly look for ways to improve the buyers and sellers experience through our revenue processes. We're constantly iterating and improving these processes. So when we think about the maturity level here, at a beginner level, we've not defined any of these revenue processes. We're a small team. We just message others to include them in deal cycles. Different customers follow different processes depending on the type of deal. It's very ad hoc. At the builder level, marketing, sales, and customer success have defined their own processes, but these start and stop within their own functions, are quite siloed. The processes are not published outside of the team that created them, and there are no measures in place for optimizing that process. Once we reach the advanced level, we've now got that defined end-to-end revenue process covering every type of business that we do, from marketing through sales and customer success, from new business through upsells, cross-sells, renewal and churn. And those processes have been created in a consistent format and are published openly so that everyone can review them and query them and question them. We are constantly looking at ways to improve that buyers and sellers experience, so these processes just get better and better and better. Now we look at product and pricing. We have a formal and regular process for capturing prospect and customer feedback through our revenue team. Because which team is speaking to customers, to buyers, to partners every single day? It's the revenue team. And yet so rarely do customers use that channel to actually gather real feedback from buyers. Customer feedback that we're capturing doesn't just include the product, what do you think about the product and how are you using it, but also the buying experience and the account management experience once they have signed up. And pricing is reviewed at least on a quarterly basis. And in terms of pricing, we're thinking about bundles. We're thinking about units of measurement. Are we selling transactions or users? We're thinking about contract lengths, monthly, annual, multi-year, and then the discounting models that we use. Too many companies look at pricing once a year or never, and it's one of the easiest opportunities to increase value, both for you as a customer, but also for your customer. So when we think about the maturity for product and pricing, at a beginner level, our founder is involved in most deals and provides feedback to the product team based on those customer conversations. Pricing is pretty ad hoc. Different customers get different pricing. It's determined on a customer by customer basis. At a builder level, our growing revenue team does not have a regular and consistent feedback loop into the product team, but waits for the roadmap to determine how to position that product to customers and provide some ad hoc feedback. Pricing is static, doesn't get reviewed regularly. End of the month and quarter discounts are typical as sales leaders do whatever it takes to try and pull deals in. But at the advanced level, we've got a formal, regular process for capturing product feedback from our revenue team, including AEs and the CSM team. And this includes not just the product, but the buying experience that we're providing to our customers. Pricing is being reviewed on at least a quarterly basis, and we're looking at every aspect of pricing, bundles, units of measurement, discounting models, and so on. Now we start to look at data and the revenue data that we are sitting on. We have a revenue data strategy that is centralized around a business intelligence platform. So are we pulling all of the data across first, second, and third party data sources into a central tool that we can use to manage that data? Our revenue data includes first, second, and third party data, including call recordings and product usage data. So just to define this correctly, first party data is data that you generate as a company. So this could be the data about what your sellers are doing in your CRM system. It could involve your product usage data when customers are using your product. Second party data is data that comes in from your partners. So this could be from G2 in terms of product review platforms. It could be through your call recording platform or any partner that you use that generates data. Third party is data that you buy from third party sources. So this could be economic data, it could be weather data, it could be firmographic or technographic data. And we want all of this to come into one platform so that we can derive insights from it. And insights that help both our customers to get a better experience, a better product, and our revenue teams for them to be more successful. So are we using this centralized data platform to create new products, new customer reports and insights for our customers, or new insights to help our sellers to prospect and sell and convert more effectively? So from a data maturity perspective, at the beginner level, we don't have a data strategy at all. We know we've got data, pockets of it exist in each of our systems and from our customers' product usage, and we've got these third-party data sources that we've bought, but they're not integrated. There's a lot of spreadsheets around as people try to model specific insights. At the builder level, we've now got a single source of truth in our CRM system, and our marketing automation system and our customer success platform, they are integrated with it. But there are multiple other data sources, including customers' product usage and these third-party data sources that are not integrated. And spreadsheets are used to try and drive revenue insights for both customers and for sellers. At the advanced level, we've now got a revenue data strategy centralized around this business intelligence platform. And that integrates our first, second, and third party customer and seller data into this single unified insights platform. We can use that data to derive these insights that are helping customers to get more value from the products, as well as helping our revenue teams across marketing, sales, and customer success to be better at and more successful in supporting their customers and their prospects and their partners. Now we'll look at the comp scheme, the compensation scheme or the commission scheme for our revenue teams. We have an integrated compensation scheme that aligns the funnel from marketing to sales and customer success. And what I mean here is that we don't have each team creating their own compensation plan in their own silo and then reporting back centrally. As a company, we want to create a compensation scheme that links everyone, is all aligned to the main objectives and the priority goals that we have as a company. And we do that by ensuring that every individual has at least part of their compensation linked to the step in the process after they've completed their work. So some conversations that you'll no doubt be involved with: should marketing be comped on closed revenue? Well, I haven't got any impact on the conversion of those opportunities, so how can I be impacted on that? Well, uh, if you're comped on revenue, then you start thinking a little bit more about the quality of the MQLs that you're generating. If sales are comped on the adoption that their customers have, they become a little bit more focused on ensuring they convert the right deals and that the handovers to the CSM team is done appropriately. So aligning the funnel through compensation is absolutely critical. Our commission platform allows individuals to plan and model different outcomes, and importantly, it incentivizes them to aim for outsized returns. We are not capping commission at a certain level and penalizing the people that really do the best job. We want people to pretty much try and break the comp model. We want people to be able to understand what happens if I bring this deal in, what happens if we can add on these additional services for this customer, and how much am I going to earn out of that. So when we think about the comp scheme at a beginner level, the commission scheme is very basic. Any commission-based role have got comp calculated in some spreadsheets, meaning the scheme is limited in its capability, and it can take time at the end of each month to accurately calculate what each seller is going to be due. So because of that, sellers don't have an easy way of determining what they're going to be paid in the coming period or model any outcome. So it's quite reactive rather than driving behavior. At the builder level, we've got a commission platform that now allows us to create more innovative commission plans across our revenue team. Each team is comped on their own work, meaning that handovers between the teams are inefficient. They're not being comped on what's happening after in the process. And that means that customers can often have a bad experience with these handovers. Individuals are focused on maximizing their own comp rather than thinking about the success of the customer and the company. And any caps that are in place limit a seller's ability to break the commission plan, which means you see a lot of sandbagging and deals that slip out of month or quarter. Once you achieve the advanced level, you've now got an integrated commission plan. It's aligning the funnel every step of the way from marketing to sales to customer success by comping people on the stage of the process after their work, which simplifies and optimizes those handovers, means the customer has a better experience. And the commission platform allows these individuals to model these different outcomes and incentivizes them to really push for the outsized returns. Our next section is to look at forecasting. How do we know what is going to happen in the next month or quarter? Our next section is deal desk. And in the deal desk, we're thinking about, formal deal desk team exists with a mandate to ensure that one business is good business. We now have a separate team that is supporting sellers to make sure that they can craft good business and that we are not discounting at the end of the month and causing a massive drop in the value that we're receiving from our customers. Our deal desk team is customer facing. and an active part of the bid team when required. We want to make sure that our deal desk team has some skin in the game and they can understand what the customer is trying to achieve. They don't just exist in a spreadsheet. And then finally, our deal desk team is helping to win this good business by being a solution provider. They're providing alternatives, they're providing bundles. They are not seen by our revenue teams as a sales prevention team. So at a basic level, at a beginner level, we don't have a deal desk team. Any approvals is really being done just by the founder or maybe the sales manager. Once we start to move into the builder level, we've probably got a discounting framework or a sheet that is used and published on the intranet. But once you get to the end of the month or the quarter, that sheet is quickly forgotten about and goes out the window. And suddenly it's all about getting the deal done. At the advanced level, we've now got a formalized deal desk team. They are there to help with these alternative solutions or bundles. They have got skin in the game. They're working alongside the sales teams, and they are there to help ensure that we win good business on time and on schedule. Now we go on to forecasting. And in forecasting, like I said, we're thinking about the what we're going to land on at the end of this month or quarter. Forecasting is an automated and continuous process using a revenue intelligence platform. So forecasting is not something that happens once a quarter or once a month or at best once a week. And it's not something that relies solely on human input and estimates, because humans are very bad at forecasting. Think about the weather. Think about stocks and shares. We are not good at forecasting, even when we've got monetary incentive around it. So why do we think that SDRs and salespeople and sales managers are suddenly going to be amazing at forecasting? We need to use the proper platforms to help us do that, and to do it on a constant basis. Forecasts are generated automatically based on past performance combined with seller and buyer activity in our revenue systems. They are not based solely on human estimates. Traditional sales forecasting has relied on asking, Charlie, what do you think is going to happen about this deal? And of course, what I think is going to happen with that deal is also influenced by what is happening with other deals, and how my performance is with my manager, and how the overall company is doing, and the commission scheme, and whether I think that it makes sense for me to bring the deal in this month or to let it slip into next month. Human estimates are loaded with self-interest, especially at the manager level before they get up to your senior leaders. So forecasts need to be generated based on what is happening with the customer and how that individual seller or team have performed in the past. So we're building those estimates or those forecasts automatically rather than relying on human influence. And thirdly, because of this, our sellers and managers agree and believe that calls and meetings need to be recorded to facilitate accurate forecasting. We need the system to know what a customer said. We need the system to know that the customer said this was going to be risky or with high potential, or these are the other people that need to be included to make this deal happen. And so it's not enough for sellers and managers to, believe that we need to have these calls recorded. They need to agree to it and make sure that happens. So from a forecasting perspective at the beginner level, it's a manual process, weekly and monthly calls with sellers. Managers then massage these numbers around the story that they want to tell to the senior leaders. And the end of month involves a lot of deal slippage and reforecasting as these theories and pie in the sky ideas disappear. At the builder level, Forecasting is now semi-automated, so it's probably coming out of CRM with a weekly or monthly report. Managers are then using roll-ups within CRM to add a bit of commentary to their own forecast and again build it around their personal story that they want to tell. There's a large human element, especially in the manager's forecast, which results in this deal slippage and reforecasting at the end of the month. Once you achieve the advanced level, then forecasting is now automated. It's a continuous process using revenue intelligence platform. These forecasts are generated looking at past performance and your customers and sellers' interactions with your systems. Sellers and managers have the ability to add some additional context to the generated forecasts, and sellers understand that because of that, recording all of their calls and meetings is essential for them to be able to drive their own forecasts. And now we move to the final section of the internal aspect of the flywheel. And here we're looking at reporting. We use our centralized data platform to provide each revenue team with accurate and up-to-date reporting, i.e., we don't rely on spreadsheets. You'll know the things. A spreadsheet in Google Sheets or Excel that has hundreds of tabs, a tab for each week, a tab for each month, where you're trying to assess what is going on with lots of macros and formulas. But instead now you're using a centralized data platform that pulls in all of this data and allows you to report accurately. Our teams are able to use our reporting to see how their work impacts the work of other teams and the company's overall revenue objectives, or OKRs, heading towards that vision. This is not just about our own reporting in marketing or in sales or in customer success, but these integrated reports show how the MQLs that we're generating are driving the right sales opportunities and the right revenues at the end of the process. Our reporting is user-friendly, and each team is capable of creating their own reports without getting a degree in report creation. We need it to be simple so that people don't fall off into creating spreadsheets themselves. So in this final section, as a beginner for reporting, we're providing a snapshot of our key metrics to the founder at the end of the month so that they can provide their monthly investor update, but we don't have any detailed insight into the metrics that make up the end-to-end revenue cycle. We really are running a bit blind. At the builder level, marketing, sales, and customer success are now generating their own reports, but they're typically out of their own systems, out of the marketing automation platform, out of CRM. So most of these reports are then recorded in a custom spreadsheet just for that team's needs. We've got spreadsheets with hundreds of tabs for each new week or month, which are looked at once and never again. And because of that, we don't learn a lot from our reporting. But at the advanced level, we're now using our centralized data platform to provide each team with accurate and up-to-date reporting on every aspect of our revenue process. Our teams are able to see what has happened and how their work has impacted the other parts of the process. Our reporting includes data from both our internal systems, but also customer product usage and third-party data sources. And this reporting is user-friendly, and each function is capable of creating their own reports in it. So that completes the bottom half of the revenue acceleration flywheel and covers all of the internal capabilities that you need across marketing, sales, and customer success to deliver a fully functioning revenue RevOps strategy. So having completed this, I can now click complete. You'll see we've gone across all 66 questions. And here the assessment will, based on your responses, provide you with an outcome. Now, as you saw there, I was clicking the middle one for every single option. So I'm in the building phase, and I will, in my email inbox, have a link to some articles and advice and guidance based on being in this building phase. And so that is a full walkthrough of both the revenue acceleration flywheel and every step of the RevOps Maturity Assessment, and giving you some insight into the maturity model that you will receive in your inbox. I hope you find that useful. I hope you find that doing this assessment will really guide you in terms of the most high impact activities that you can undertake to show real value to the rest of your team.